Hey everyone, it's Foxx from modelmakingguru.com here, and welcome to part one of a very special bit. Chief, get out. Do you know, your photo bombs everything is a right pain. Welcome to part one of a very special build. If you're joining me on my channel, you'll know exactly what to expect here. If you're joining me on the Ammo channel, hello, welcome, my name's Foxx. I'm going to be doing a very special build for you. You may have noticed in recent months that Mig has started doing videos showing his products on Gunpla, so Gundams and associated mobile suits. Many of you may know what they are, but for those that don't, it's a Japanese anime franchise. It's been going for 40 odd years, and the vehicles in the series are humanoid, bipedal, basically walking tanks called Gundams or mobile suits. What I'm going to be doing in this series is making one of Bandai's many kits of Gundams. Now they have hundreds and hundreds of them, ranging in quality from real grade and high grade, which are small 1/44 scale, about this big, detailed but quite simple, master grade, which are bigger, about 100th scale, and this is a perfect grade. It's a Perfect Grade Zaku II. It's 1/60th scale, so it's huge and it's super articulated. These models are fully articulated, so you can move the hands, you can move the wrists, you can move the legs and arms. They're completely posable. This one also has lights inside, if I can get it to work, and they also have loads and loads of details ripe for being painted. What we're going to be doing is we are going to be filming the entire build process, from opening the box to finishing the last touches and everything in between. Unusually for the Ammo channel, we're going to include the build part as well as the paint part. We're going to be painting it using all Ammo products and weathering products, but I'm going to show the whole build as well, just because it's interesting. So without further ado, let's get this puppy open and see what's inside. This is quite a big box, and inside we have some parts and crinkly plastic, sorry about that, and another box. I won't go through the sprues one by one because there's not a lot to see, but basically we have a whole plethora of sprues and parts. Now this kit is Char's Zaku, which is red, but I'm going to be painting it as a green Zaku. It's just I couldn't get a hold of a green Zaku kit. They're quite rare at the moment. So I got the Char's Zaku, which is red, and it's exactly the same kit. So we have lots of armour parts. We have internal frame parts, more exterior armour. We're going to be ignoring these colours. We have some parts for the weapon, which you can't quite see under the plastic, but we've got this massive machine gun. We have more armour parts. Now that doesn't look like a lot of parts, and it isn't. That's about as many parts as you get in, say, a master grade kit. Thing is, this box has a secret. Let me show you the secret. The secret is, that's what it'll look like at the end, by the way, this thing here. This is what we're going to be building. The secret is there's a whole other box full of more parts. Oh, there's millions of them. More inner frame parts, legs, feet, and lots of tiny fiddly bits. Now, I won't go through all the sprues one by one. I'll cover off the decals and stickers in a moment, and the manuals. So let me go and put all these away, and I'll show you the manual. Now, there's something particular about these kits. They're Japanese, which means the instructions are in Japanese, which is brilliant if you read Japanese, but don't panic. Let me go and put all this to one side, and we'll have a look at the instructions. Right, so I know I said I wasn't going to show you any of the sprues, but I'll go through a couple of them just to give you an idea of what we include in this kit. If you've never made a Bandai kit before, gotta tell you, the quality of these is the best I've ever seen. Bandai make the most beautifully engineered kits I've ever come across. Their quality of their moulding process is incredible, and they pull off some amazing tricks with what they do, and I'll show you the hands in a moment. You blow your mind. But just an example of the kind of level of detail we've got. These are some of the outer armour parts, fairly not undetailed, but fairly plain. However, the one thing that sets this apart is this is the armour that goes on the outside of the inner frame. When you make a Gundam, it's generally the inner frame, which is all the mechanical parts and the workings, and the armour goes on the outside. What they actually do is, that's the outside of the outside armour, that's the inside of the inside armour, and they include all these beautiful little panel lines and structural details on here. Now, if you build this as it appears on the box, you won't see any of this. You won't see any of this at all. It's all hidden away. But what a lot of people do is they will have some of the armour not on the mobile suit, maybe to the one side, as if people are maintaining it, so you can see the armour inside. So if they do that, they might have these on the side and have all these details painted. Now these little bits of relief are perfect for lots of panel line washes or streaking grimes, or lots of things that can emphasize these sort of structural support shapes. Or we could paint them different colors, depends, but they're everywhere, and it's indicative of most of the outer armor, is a lot of it has those details on. This piece here, for example, may have another piece that goes on top, so there's nothing in there, but that is just gorgeous. That's absolutely gorgeous. And this is typical. Bandai's casting is just flawless. I have yet to find a piece of flash on any Bandai kit I've made, or a mismolding or something that doesn't fit. These things are designed to be snap fit. There's no glue involved, so these things fit together beautifully every time. No problems at all. I've never come across it, and I've never come across a manufacturer yet that makes better kits than Bandai. So if you've never made a Bandai kit, give it a try. Here's another sprue for you. Lots more intricate details. On here you can see lots of tubing and screw heads and things like that, all begging to be painted and picked out in different colours, which we're going to be doing. And what else do we have? Details on these parts here. It's beautiful. Lots of little sort of raised details. Going to have a lot of fun with this. This is going to be a long paint job and build, because you see I'm going to have a lot of fun painting all these different things. Yeah, it's going to take a while. Something else you get in Gunpla kits, poly caps. These are polyvinyl or polyurethane, I can't remember which. These are like little joint pieces. Typically you'll have a ball and socket joint, or you'll have a peg and a tube in which the peg goes, and these are the middle pieces that join the two together. These give it loads of extra structural support, and because it's designed to be posable, everything from the ankles, the knees, the wrists, the fingers, everything is posable and movable. So these just give it structural integrity, and they make it grippy. So if you raise the arm up with a rifle in the arm's going to stay there basically. So it's not just plastic on plastic. Beautiful. Now this is the pièce de résistance. This is a hand. I think this is part of the hand as well. These are the individual fingers. Now you may just think, okay, it's a finger, what? So what? There's three parts to this finger. It's this part of the finger. 1, 2, 3. There's 3 joints. Now my finger's a funny shape, and I can't bend the end of my knuckle. How weird is that? I can't do this bit. These do. These fingers are more jointed than my fingers. Each one of these segments inside there is a ball joint, all moulded in one piece. You take this piece off as a single unit and you move it, and the ball joint just breaks the seal, and you've now got a posable finger, and the hand can do that. And you've got ball joints in here as well. You can see in this moulding the ball joints already in there. It's, if I remember rightly, it's actually a different type of plastic. This part of the plastic of the frame is different to the ball joint piece, and that's how they get them to be posable. And that's all on one sprue. They just weave some kind of dark magic, and this is becoming more common in the Gunpla kits now. Fully, I think they call them emotion manipulators. They're fully posable from thumbs and fingers, and they have ball joints here, ball joint, and everywhere you have a knuckle, they have a ball joint. Incredible. Now, here is something that will fill model makers around the world with dread. Chrome parts. Nobody likes chrome parts. Now in Gunpla kits in Japan, these are what's known as meki plated parts. It's a slightly different process to that you get in your Revell car kit with the chrome pieces in it, but it's basically the same overall effect. It's a chrome plated piece. Now, if you've ever made a car or a vehicle of any kind that has chrome plated parts, you'll know this stuff is a pig. You can't paint on top of it, you can't wash over it, you can't use pigments, nothing will stick to this stuff. It's an absolute nightmare. However, if this was a car kit and this was a bumper or a fender to my colonial cousins, you'd take it off the sprue, you'd strip it with some oven cleaner, you'd get all the plating off, and then you repaint it, and then you weather it. This is different. This is going to stay plated because these are all pistons. Each of these pistons will go into a piston housing, and then as you move the limb, let's say that was a joint here and there was a piston here, the piston would move like that. And the housing it goes into will be painted. I'm going to leave these chromed because A, it kind of works for a piston and it will stand out on the inner frame, especially along the ankles and the elbows and places like that. But also because the attachment points for the sprues are on the ends, which means when you take these off and you trim that nub off, you have a bit of the plating removed, but you won't see it. And that's one of the reasons I'm liking this. If the attachment points were in the middle of the piston, I'd have to strip them and paint them because I'd have a big gap where the chrome plating came off. This, I don't need to. So I'm going to leave those. Can't put anything on them, I'm able to weather them, but it means they'll stand out when I finish painting the kit. And it will just give it that little accent point, which I'm quite looking forward to. Now, if you are thinking of getting this Perfect Grade Zaku II, either this version, Char's Zaku, or the standard green one, they're exactly the same kit, you will also have these 4 bags. These 4 bags contain screws. This is a word of caution. The instructions are all written in Japanese, you'll see in a moment, all written in kanji. And they have call-outs for when it's a particular screw. And it might say something like the small silver screw, the big black screw, the small blue screw, or the big silver screw. Now, if you can read Japanese, that's not a problem. So you'll say, the big silver screw. Oh, it's that one. It's the big one. It's bigger than that one. Perfect. If you can't read kanji and you can't read Japanese, you won't know which screw to put in. I've done some research online, and there is a guy I found who posted up a video on YouTube where he tells you and marks his own bags with the kanji symbol for each screw. So you can look at the instructions, see the kanji symbol and say, right, that's this packet of screws because I've marked that. I can't remember the link. I was going to put it here, but I can't remember it. So unfortunately, you're going to have to go online and find it on YouTube's. If I remember, I'll try and put a link in the next video. So yeah, before you start dishing out screws into the kit, do some research and find out which kanji symbol in the instructions relates to which screw. When I've started using these screws and I've found out myself, I'll show you the markings I've put on so you can see. But don't start screwing things together, because if you use the wrong screw, you're going to be in trouble later on when you need that particular screw. We have a small bag containing 2 springs, an LED, and 2 wires, a grey and a brown. Same problem with the instructions. I don't know the Japanese kanji for grey and brown. Yeah, that could get interesting. So I have my utmost confidence in my abilities to not make the electrics in this kit work. So don't be surprised if this thing gets built and the head doesn't light up. But we'll try. We'll give it a go. Unfortunately, the first step in the instructions is to build the head and sort the electrics out. So I'll learn pretty quickly if I'm going to suck at that. Next one, we have some tubes. Now when we go through the instruction book, you'll see all around the head, the waist and on the legs there's like piping that goes round, and it's like segmented piping. Basically it's lots of little pieces that you thread onto these metal springs. They're like very tightly coiled springs or very thick guitar strings. They go on top, and then this is what goes around the body like that. I'll probably put something on these to weather them a bit. I mean, I might leave them shiny, but it'll look a bit weird, so they'll probably get weathered with everything else. But that's going to be fun. There's about, I don't know, 70 or 80 of these little tiny, like beads. You have to paint them all up and then thread them on. That's going to be kind of interesting. We have one single foil sticker. Lower grade kits like high grades and real grades, you get lots of foil stickers and stickers. This is one single foil sticker in this kit, and this is purely to go on the back of the LED to black it out so it doesn't shine light backwards into the head. And then we have these. Apologies for the lighting. These are stickers, not water slide decals. They're stickers. I can't be doing with stickers. You can possibly see on camera if it comes out, each sticker has a square of the film around it. It's pre-cut. So for example, that Xeon symbol there looks really nice, but it's basically a big square sticker. Now if you plant this on the model and then do all your weathering, you're going to get whatever you weather the model with, like be it washes or filters or anything else, you're going to get that paint gathering around the edge of the sticker, because that sticker sticks up on the plastic surface. It's going to look pants. The only solution is to put the sticker on after you've done the weathering. Now that is a problem. If I go outside and I paint that on my car, I don't expect then my car to get filthy, but this to stay clean. It gets weathered with everything else, and these are supposed to be things painted on the bodywork of the vehicle. So using the stickers, if I was building a perfectly clean model, I might use them, but I'm not. I'm going to make this weathered and beaten and battered. So these, no use at all. I'm not going to throw them in the bin, but they'll go into my collection of big pile of stickers that I'm never going to use unless I get desperate. So what's next? Next up, we have the booklets. Now, apologies for the lighting in this one. It may be, let me just adjust my lighting so you can actually see them. Okay, so as is traditional in Perfect Grade kits, you have 2 booklets, the construction manual and the instruction manual. Now, the instruction manual is nice and glossy and shiny in colour, but unless you read Japanese, it's of no help to you whatsoever, because It's basically lots of information about the mobile suit and the history of the mobile suit, how it incorporates into the animated series, information about the pilot. It has information about the weaponry. You can see here it's got information about the different antennas that go on the top of the head. On this one it has a single one, you can see here. This is all really interesting information. Technical specifications, graphs about power outputs and thruster outputs for the verniers, and history, and all. I can't read any of that. The only bit I can see is it has some colour callouts at the back if you want to do different colour schemes. This is the one that the kit's designed with, that you get. These are just two variants. Not going to do any of these. I'm going to do it as a green Zaku. No idea what any of that says. So it's really nice. Lots of shiny pictures, but no use to me at all. But it's nice to have. Now the second booklet is the important stuff. This is your instructions, your instruction sheets, and this is where you're going to go. As with any Gunpla kit, and apologies for the light shining on it, it gives you a list of all the sprues with all the parts on. This is handy just to double check you've got everything. Again, it's all in Japanese, but we can work around that. But here it just shows you all the different frames. Now the important thing with this, and this is a very important thing to know with any Gunpla kit, the plastics that Bandai use are very special. Basically, they use polystyrene, they use ABS, and they use PE, which I think is polyethylene. Most of this kit is in polystyrene. Is any of it in ABS? Yes. So, for example, if I zoom the camera in and then try and adjust the focus a bit so you can actually see, that's a bit better. You can see now. So, apologies for the wobbly camera. Right, there we go. So, for example, this is your polycap sprue, and it's PE, polyethylene. You can't read any of this. It just tells you it's the P runner, lots of Japanese, and then PE for polyethylene. This one here, M1 runner, is PS. That means it's polystyrene. So those outer armor parts, they're in polystyrene. This is in polystyrene. That's polystyrene. But this sprue here, these are, I think, inner frame parts, and this is often the way with Gunpla kits. Inner frame parts, these ones, sprue N, is made of ABS. Now, when you're making a Gunpla, you have to be super, super careful. The plastics that Bandai use are very susceptible to any kind of thinners or hot solvents. So if you're using enamel thinners, if you're using acrylic thinners, if you're using thinners for oil paints, any kind of thinners that aren't just basically water, you're going to have to be really careful, because if those get onto exposed plastic, they can weaken that plastic. And if it's a really complicated or really tight joint, because the tolerances on the engineering on these kits is super high, so they're very tight fits and they're designed to fit perfectly, and they do. But if you've got a joint like this where two parts move and some thinners get in there and weaken the plastic, it's going to crack and it's going to make the instructions go over there. It's going to risk damaging it. A lot of people will find that parts, under pressure, parts may crack or break because they've been weakened by thinners. So what we're going to have to make sure we do, especially on ABS parts, but for all the parts, except polycaps, we're not going to paint those. All the parts, we've got to be super, super careful and make sure we prime them completely, inside and out. So we're going to have to do a lot of priming on this kit, because we need to make sure if we do a panel line wash, one of the enamel panel line washes, or we do a filter, or we just use some thin paints, we just use some of the paints and thin it down for a wash. If any of that thinner gets into some of the plastic, it could cause damage. It might not, but it can do. And when you're building these kits, you have to be super aware. So we're going to have to make sure we do a lot of priming on these parts and make sure they're covered. Even the parts you're not going to see because it's inside two parts that go together, if you don't prime in there and something seeps through that gap in between the two parts, it can eat away at the joint and kill it. Prime it, prime it, prime it. It's the golden rule. So we have all our parts, then we get into instructions, and here again it's all in Japanese. Now you don't actually have to be able to read Japanese. A lot of the things is big chunks of text, but for a lot of it you can kind of intuit what it means. There are certain symbols in master grades, real grades and high grades that you get to learn, things like repeat this on both sides, do this or this, do this part first. I don't know if they're in here. I've not seen any so far. It all just seems to be put this on here with arrows. There are certain symbols you've come to know. Let me find one. I've just got to try and find one. As you can see, I prepare this very carefully and plan everything. One symbol you will see a lot of is one that I can't find right now. Oh, Fox, you're so well prepared. How do you do it? Here we go. I don't know if you'll see this. Let me see if I can zoom in a bit. Right. Let's have a look. Now you might see here these little bunny ear symbols on either side, little quotation marks. These just mean pay attention to this. Don't get it the wrong way around. This is something important you need to get the right way around. And usually it's when a piece can go either way, like here, this piece here. It says pay attention to these little nubs. You can see it's a polycap, it's a tube, but it's got a little nub there and there's one on the other side. It's basically saying make sure it's in that orientation. Pay attention to it. Don't mess this up. Now there are some scary things about the wiring here. For the head is the first bit we do, so baptism of fire and all that. So yeah, that should be fun. Just move the camera back up again. Sorry for all the wibbly wobbly camera stuff. So we'll go through the instructions, and it's all fairly straightforward, hopefully. If you built a master grade before, it's just like a master grade with more parts. There are some bits I might come unstuck on, but I'll just have to research on the interwebs, see what I can find. So that's the instruction book. That's what we're going to be living off for the next few weeks, however long. So that's everything that's in the box. I've not shown you all the sprues. Now, as I said, we're going to be painting. I'm just going to change my focus. There we go. We're going to be using ammo products. So let me go and get the products we can use, and I'll show you what we're going to paint this with. Oh, look at all these wonderful things. Oh, the panel line washes and the paints and the pigments and the streaking grams and the filters and the... Anyway, let's cut to the chase. What are we doing? So, we are building a Zaku. Now, I'm going to simplify things down a bit, and I'm sure I'm going to just suddenly anger 99% of Gundam fans right now. Think of it in simplistic terms that in the Gundam franchise, Gundams are the suits for the good guys, and mobile suits like this Zaku are the suits for the bad guys. It's not always that simple. Who are the good and bad guys? It's kind of a grey area. But for the sake of argument, think of Gundams like the sleek, shiny, futuristic jet fighter. The top of the line, super advanced, super technological vehicle for combat. And think of the Zakus that I'm building now as the mass production, kind of low end grunt vehicle. Not that advanced, underpowered compared to the Gundams, and just cannon fodder basically. So my thinking is, as you've seen, the kit we've got is red because it's Char's Zaku. Char's the sort of the head bad dude, if you want. The grunt suits, the one his men fly around in and walk around in, is the Zaku that's green. So we're going to repaint it in green shades. I am thinking along the lines, this is where it might happen or it might not, depends what turns out. Thinking along the lines that as it's the sort of the run-of-the-mill mass production grunt vehicle, it's going to have that kind of, compared to a Gundam that's a jet fighter, it's going to be like a grotty old Russian tank. A bit seedy, a bit battered, rusted, and not really well looked after. It's not very good quality. You get the idea. So I'm not making a nice, sleek, mobile suit kind of Gundam vehicle. I'm making a battered grunt vehicle. So it's going to be green, it's going to be rusty, it's going to be covered in mud, streaks, grime, filth. It's not had much maintenance, it's not been looked after. For this purpose, I have the Green Mechas set. Specifically designed, if you look at the images on the website, with a picture of a Zaku next to it. So I get the impression that's kind of what it's aimed at. We have our medium and dark colours plus grey and blue complementary colours and highlight colours. We're going to go in a basic green colour, and then I'm going to use the lighter colours for the paint chipping and some highlighting, and the darker colours for possibly for some shadowing, but I may do that with some of the effects instead. But you can see here we've got a good selection of these green paints and some foam blocks. I don't know how they get in there. They're tenacious, I'll give them that. So we're probably going to go for like these two colours, maybe a little bit of this for some low lighting, but we're going to use these as highlight colours for the paint chips. What else do we have? We have some standard Mechas and Robots colours, or to you and me are their basic Gundam colours. Yellow, red, blue, and some whites and a grey. Kind of a medium gunship grey, think of it like a kind of German grey, that's for you in a frame. Red, yellow and blue and white for the outer armour and for the other armour parts, and grey as a secondary armour part. It's basically Gundam colours. I've taken one out, but I do have them. We have some weapons colours. I'm really excited to try these. This is for the machine gun that the Zaku has. We're going to use them for the inner frame as well. We've got polished metal, gunmetal, satin black, red brown shadow, red brown base, and red brown shine. Might not need to use those much, but gunmetal for sure, because we're going to do the base colour for the frame in gunmetal. And I'm interested to see how this comes out, because I've used other gunmetals and I know what they're like, so I'm interested to see how this one comes out. Gunmetal is one of those colours that, depending on how you apply it, can have different colours. So we'll see how that comes out. We also have a whole mess of all the panel line washes in the world. Now, I'm not going to use all of these, but we've got a whole mess of colours. We've got deep grey, medium tan, dark sea blue, black night, blue grey, blue black again, green grey, stone grey for black, light grey, more blue black, dark grey brown, and dust. These are basically thin. They're almost like washes, but they're not quite that thin, and they're designed to be dropped into a panel line like a pin wash. It's what you're supposed to do with them. Drop it into the panel line and it will go along the panel line with capillary action and just give a bit of depth and a bit of dirt and grime. So that's the idea. We're going to, instead of using, say, some other methods, I'm quite well known for using oil paints to rub over the thing and then rub it off, and that gives you panel lines. We're going to do these as pin washes using these panel line washes. What else do we have? We have the streaking effects. We have streaking grime for DAC. We have what else do we have? I thought I had another one somewhere. I have somewhere. I can't find it. Well, we've got streaking grime for DAC. I do have some of the streaking grime somewhere hidden away in a corner. They're going to give us some dirt and dust effect, well, some discoloration effects on the armour and some sort of tonal shifts. We have a brown wash, and I have a few filters somewhere. I seem to have misplaced half my stash of ammo products. We also have some other filters. I think we have the brown filter for white. That's going to be handy just for changing the tint of a piece if we want to darken the armour a little bit or warm it up with some brown tones. So we've got those. Some fuel stains. You know what they're going to be used for. Fuel stains. We have some dark mud. That's going to come in handy, and we're going to combine some of that with some of the Splashes products. So we have turned dirt, we have wet ground, dry earth, and damp earth. We might not use all of these, but again, I want this vehicle to look worn, battered, and well used. Now, these things fight in space, but they can fight on land as well. So my thinking is going to be it's had a lot of ground-based combat, so it's going to be covered in rust, it's going to be covered in dirt and everything else. Not so much the space combat. We also have some powders, some pigments, light rust, medium rust, and dark earth. Dark earth will come in really handy, because that's probably one of the last stages we'll do, is get some of this lovely, lovely stuff on there, if I can get the lid off. And that's going to be good for, well, basically just giving that dusty, worn look on some of the shiny inner frame parts. Because by the end of it, we'll have the outer armour matte, we'll have the inner armour, we'll try and keep it as shiny as we can, and then we'll add some weathering to it at the end, just to dull it down, to give it that dirty look. Because the armour's going to get dirty, but so's the inner frame. Some of the joints and elbows and knees and things. We have a couple of crystal colours. I'm not sure if I'll use these, but hopefully I will. Crystal Periscope Green and Crystal Red. These are clear colours, so these are for your clear parts. This may be handy for the mono eye, the eye that goes in the head, if it's a clear part. And the green, I can't remember if there's a clear part on the rifle, but if there is, I'm going to be painting it the clear green, because I like green scope lenses. And last of all, we have, not last of all actually, we have the surface primer, which we're going to be putting on everything inside, outside, as we said. All the surfaces, all of them, every single one. And this is going to be the first thing we do, is put the primer on. Why do we need a primer? I'll just answer this now, because everybody always asks. Why do you need a primer? Because if you put paint onto bare plastic, it may stick, but it may not. It won't bond to the plastic as well as if there's a primer. Primers chemically etch themselves into the plastic a little tiny bit, so they grip really hard, and then they give the paint a surface to stick to, and a nice surface with some bite to it, some slight roughness, not that you'd see it, for the paint to adhere to, and you get a better bond with the paint. Also, the paint goes flatter and looks better. So if you are painting a model, you can paint straight onto plastic, and in some of my videos on my channel I show for beginners how to do that. But bear in mind, these are posable, articulated models. There's joints and there's hinges and there's parts that move. If you're going to spend as much as I've spent on this Zaku kit, and Perfect Grade kits aren't cheap, you want to make sure you're priming, because you don't want to go to all the effort of painting this thing and then the paint's just coming off every time you handle it. So prime, prime, prime. If not just to protect the plastic, to make sure your paint sticks properly to the model itself. So we're going to be using quite a bit of that. What's the last thing we're going to do? is we have some of the airbrush cleaner. Now, I wouldn't normally mention this, and I shouldn't have shaken it up because I can't show you now, but this is airbrush cleaner, but it's kind of unique in that if you don't shake it up like a spoon like I just did, you'll see you have the clear liquid, and on the top there's like an oily layer. It actually contains oils in there. So when you use it to clean your airbrush, the oils go through your airbrush as well. And that means it's lubricating your airbrush parts when you're cleaning it. Now, you have to shake it before you clean your airbrush out. Otherwise, you're just putting oil through your airbrush. So you give it a good shake, you clean your airbrush, give it the last blast with this stuff, and it lubricates all the parts in your airbrush as well. So it's a brilliant idea. Don't know why nobody else has thought of that. And that's what we're going to be using. There are a couple of other colours that I can't quite find at the moment, like the streaking grime. But that's what we're going to use. Might not use all the panel line washes. We might not use all the particular paint colours. Let's just get these over here. Look at all my paints. They're my paints. Get off. They're mine. 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 Paints. And there are a few other colours as well that I've taken out of those packs to use on something else. Like steel grey, cold grey, I think, and there's some others as well. So we're going to use all of these. So we're going to basically get the thing primed, get it pre-shaded, get it painted up. In terms of weathering, we're going to be doing paint chipping, we're going to be doing streaking, pigments, filters, we're going to do some panel line washes, the whole schmear. We're going to do all of it. Now, it's going to be a long build. I'm probably going to have to do it in parts, like we'll do the head, get that painted and built, then do the arms. And there's a lot of repetition, so what I'm not going to do is show you me have like 10 episodes of me painting all the details on the inner frame before I start assembling the inner frame. So we'll break it down into things like, painting the inner frame, painting the outer armour, priming it, pre-shading it. It does mean that obviously I may film doing the inner frame and then have to go off and finish doing the rest of the inner frame. So these episodes might be spread out quite far apart. Don't panic. It's a big kit. It's going to take me a long time to do. And when I film doing one part and I need to go off and finish the rest of all those parts, like the inner frames of the armours, I need to get that done first so I can then move on to the next bit with you. So don't worry if there's big gaps between these episodes. By the end of it, we'll have a fully painted and weathered Zaku II. It may take me a few weeks. It may go over a couple of months. It could take quite a while. But there's a lot for me to do. And I can't film every single stage because, trust me, once I've painted the 200th inner frame part, you're not going to watch that. So that's going to do it for this time. It's just a quick talky episode showing you what's in the box, telling you what the plan is. Stay tuned for the next one. Until then, obviously, thank you very much for watching. Make sure you buy lots and lots of ammo products. They are really good. If you've never tried them, please try them. One thing I will do as well, while I think on, is I will try and best explain as I can how to airbrush the ammo paints. There's a very specific way to apply them that you may not be familiar with. So we're going to make sure we cover that as well, because there's a very good way to use these paints to get the best results. So, again, thank you for watching. Subscribe to the ammo channel if you're not already. You'll learn a lot of good stuff. You'll see some amazing work. And they're on Facebook as well. I'll put the address here, because I can't remember exactly what it is off the top of my head, because I've got like about 18 different Facebook addresses going through my mind right now. But yeah, go along. Also, I won't obviously shout about it here, but if you know who I am, go and pop along to my channel as well. And I'm on Facebook, so feel free to go and subscribe to those. Thank you so much for watching. We will see you on the next episode when we will have actually made some kind of a start, and I'll probably messed up the head wiring, but we'll see. We'll see how that goes. Anyway, until next time, adios amoebas.